So they positioned him to make sure there isn't a real peaceful revolution through the House of Representatives with the new group of Republicans that are undoubtedly going to come in 2010. And then in 2012, I predict that Barack Obama is going to be one of the most despised and hated presidents ever. He's meant to do that, to take all the blame for the agenda, just like Bush. And then the next puppet's going to come in, and that's going to be the one you got to watch. Now, Obama's still got some tricks up his sleeves, a lot of other things he's doing. He's also meant in the name of creating racial harmony. I told you, and we've covered this in the Obama deception, that he would be meant to bring in racial division. And he has his surrogates go out, White House operatives, and say, any criticism of government health care, any criticism of new gun control, victim disarmament, any criticism of any of their agenda, you are a racist. And he goes on David Letterman and says, oh, no, I was black before the election. I don't think it's about race. And he sounds magnanimous and friendly and good. So, see, the government comes out and says we're going to have forced inoculations. He, like the big daddy, says, don't worry, you don't have to, but I think you should. Then they go ahead and push with forced inoculations behind the scenes. His surrogates come out and say, if you criticize them in any way, you're racist, to create racial division. These phony liberal talk show hosts all push it on TV and radio and in print. Jimmy Carter comes out and says it. The surrogates come out and say it, the front men, the shills. But then he comes out and soothes everybody. This is how they operate. This is how they run their system. And they do this on every front. All of his major administration people are in eugenics groups. They write eugenics books, the most horrible stuff you can imagine. We cover it here. And then he comes out and says, oh, no, I don't want all of this to happen. Oh, I don't want a global tax. Here it is. Here he is playing the good cop. His surrogates play the bad cop, create racial division, make everybody fight with each other, divide and conquer. Then he comes out and acts like the unifier. Here it is. In just a moment, the video should load for us. I guess we can't play that. Sometimes our computers crash. But ladies and gentlemen, I understand their program. Once you know the less than 100 tricks they play, it's a playbook. Once you understand how they operate, once you understand how they operate, it's good to know their operations. It's good to know their tricks. But it's also very, very disgusting and very, very painful because they enjoy it. They enjoy manipulating. You know, I would think, because we all tend to judge the world through our own eyes. We all tend to, if we're a nice person, if we're gregarious, if we're friendly, if we have a good nature, we tend to think everybody else is like us, and that's not the case. I've actually found that a lot of people who find out about how humans operate, that find out psychological tricks, who get trained by government and industry and PR and propaganda, it is my experience that a lot of people, when they find this out, get a sense of satisfaction, and they laugh about it, and they enjoy it, and they write books about it, and they celebrate feeding on people and dumbing people down and using their ignorance to control them. And in fact, they write textbooks and debate and discuss how they want to dumb people down further and how much fun it is and how good it is. They understand what makes us tick, and it's very, very funny to them. But you see, the higher level controllers understand how to manipulate the low level parasites and controllers, and you're just as manipulated as people that are more ignorant, more dumbed down than you, below you. And you talk to yuppies. I found that yuppies and people who think they're part of the system who make $100,000 a year or whatever, you'll explain to them how things are operating, and they go, I know that, so what? And they'll giggle and go, if people are dumb and vile, that's what they deserve. And I go, but you're being manipulated too. We're going into a very oppressive system. Tyranny isn't cutesy. Tyranny isn't funny. It's very dangerous. See, all of us, all of our ancestors come from adversity and strife and war and great defeats and great victories and great struggles for humanity. But particularly American frontier folks were already the most bold of Europe, the most daring, the trailblazers. And they had the pioneer spirit and the instincts and the will to go out and face the truth and face the reality. And so from a social Darwinistic perspective, because there's truth to, any of these systems they roll out, I sit here with my antennae recognizing a threat, recognizing a police state grid. I recognize it before I ever read their white papers and their systems of control. And over the years went and discovered their white papers. And it's like reading something I would write if I was doing it from their perspective. I know what the next line's going to say. When I read their psych warfare manuals that have been declassified, I understand it before I even read it. It's amazing because once you have the knowledge, you understand it. But it's so bizarre to read it from their perspective, doing it to the people. It's just so horrible. We're going to come back to this when we get back. This is mind control. Now listen to Obama here. He says, I was black before I was elected, which is actually the true response. That's good propaganda mixes truth with lies. That's the point I've made. Record numbers of white Americans, right at 50%, who voted for Barack Obama. And so we were all meant to come together and then be betrayed. And that's exactly what Barack H. Obama is doing. That's what his job is. So now he plays the good cop. All his surrogates go out and commit this horrible act of creating division, making everybody think that there's racist everywhere and that everyone hates each other. But the government, it can be the conciliator. It can pass hate laws. It can restrict free speech. It's going to handle it. They're race pimps. They're balkanizers. That's what the Romans would do in Europe when they were taking over different areas. They would play different tribes off against each other. They exploit differences, petty differences. But then he comes out as the conciliator, and then he says, oh, the presidents always get attacked. Then he talks about Ronald Reagan as a way to manipulate conservatives. And he says, I'm making some changes, and some people, and he shows his fingers about an inch apart. The nonverbal message is, with sign language, a tiny minority. But he doesn't have to say it's a minority because the polls actually show it's a majority disagree with him now.
Yep.
He goes on the line and says people are turned off by the yelling and screaming, and they just want integrity and honesty. The image is he's got integrity. He's got honesty when he's lied about everything he said he would do. That's why his support is waning. But there they are, injecting racism, injecting division, and then he poses as if he is above the fray. He is above it all when his controllers are giving the orders to his minions to go out and create this division. It is outrageous. And we need to get on the offensive against them, pointing out that they are the race pimps. They are creating the racism. This is just absolutely disgusting. But they want to, through political correctness, cow any debate and any criticism of what they're doing. Before I end this hour and come back with Dr. Leonard Horowitz, we go live at prisonplanet.tv for the members of prisonplanet.tv when this radio show becomes a TV show at 8 after. I want to encourage everybody to remember Camp FEMA, American Lockdown, that I consulted on, and I'm one of the main featured presenters in, really documents the FEMA camps. Your neighbors, your friends, your family, they need to see this film. This proves the concentration camps, the martial law takeover. Great film by William Lewis, available at Infowars.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Get Camp FEMA today.